Beside the note was $50. This was going to be an even better weekend than I thought. I took my bowl of cereal and returned to the living room. I sat down on the couch and flipped on the TV. Sitting there in just my diaper, I grew increasingly aware of my need to use the bathroom. I usually went when I first got up, and my body was growing increasingly aware of the fact that I hadn't. I decided to see just how long I could hold it. I finished my cereal and sat the bowl down on the end table. I'd put it away eventually, I told myself. I flipped through the channels and found some old movie that looked half interesting. Whatever happened to Saturday morning cartoons? I thought to myself. It didn't matter, my mind wasn't really on the movie anyway. I really had to go now, so much I couldn't sit still. I stood up and started to pace around the room. I twitched and fidgeted, trying my very best to hold it to the very end. A spurt escaped and shot into my diaper. I clenched my muscles, cutting off the flow. I bounced up and down, willing myself to hold on. I wanted to wet, I just wanted to make this feeling last as long as possible. Another spurt, this one bigger than the first. I doubled over, I had never felt something so intense in my life. A spurt, followed by a stream. This was it, I couldn't hold it any longer. I was wetting myself, and for the first time in a long time, while awake that is, it was completely out of my control. It was amazing. The warm pee flowed and flowed into my diaper, seeming to never end. Then I felt a drip run down my leg. I was leaking. I tried to stop, but it was hopeless. I stood there as the drip turned to rivulets running down both legs and dripping onto the floor. Finally, I stopped. My diaper hung heavily between my legs. My legs were wet, the floor was wet, I had some serious cleaning up to do. I headed toward the hall closet to get a towel. My diaper was so saturated I had trouble walking. As I slowly made my way toward the hall, a voice suddenly startled me from the kitchen. "Hey Peter." Mom said, "Are you up?" I forgot my purr. "What are you wearing?" I sat bolt upright in my bed, unable to breathe. In a panic, I looked around my room. Frantically, I tried to cover myself. Where had my mom gone? For a moment I was confused. Then I realized, it was a dream. I breathed a sigh of relief. Another dream. These diapers were really getting to my head. But the last time I had a dream like this, I had. Could it have happened again? Cautiously I pulled my blanket away. Sure enough, my diaper was soaked. I quickly checked my sheets. Fortunately, the diaper held, the sheets were dry. I got out of bed and headed to the bathroom. I undid the diaper and tossed it into my trash can. I could get rid of it later since there was no one around to find it. As I showered, I considered my situation. For the second time in a week I had wet my bed. Were the diapers causing it? The first time I wasn't wearing one, I reminded myself. And this time, well, I was certainly glad I had one on, or else my mattress would have been ruined. But still, maybe all this thinking about diapers was causing these dreams. I was torn. I did enjoy wearing the diapers, and the recalling the intense feelings of holding it in my dream last night was something I wanted to recreate. However, I didn't want to become a real bedwetter again. After all, I was headed to college in a few months. I decided not to worry about it too much right then. I had the house to myself this weekend and Jane was coming over. This weekend was going to be fun. I finished my shower and went back to my room. After taping on a new diaper, I slipped on a pair of sweats and a t-shirt. It couldn't hurt to be a little cautious. I went downstairs and found the house empty. Sure enough, there was a note on the table. There was only $40, however, still enough for a great weekend. I poured my cereal and headed to the living room. Sadly, the rest of my dream didn't repeat itself. I didn't have to go to the bathroom, I had already gone in my bed. There was nothing on TV but infomercials. Again, where were the cartoons? And my mom didn't make a surprise appearance. That part was good news, of course. I sat there in a dry diaper that was going to remain dry for the next couple hours. I was bored. My life as a bachelor was starting to get dull before it had even begun. I grabbed my phone and texted Jane. "Did you come up with an excuse for your mom? When are you coming over?" A minute later a text rang back, "Mom taken care of, be over after lunch." Seeming how it was nearly 11 o'clock when I got out of bed, lunch was pretty soon. I got up and started to tidy the house. I laughed to myself thinking that Mom would be even more shocked to come home and find me cleaning than she would be to find me wearing a diaper. After I finished cleaning I went upstairs and changed clothes. Wanting to look a bit more presentable for Jane I put on a nicer shirt and pulled a pair of jeans over my still dry diaper. The fit was a bit snug. Having just eaten breakfast I skipped lunch myself. Time still seemed to move at a crawl. Finally I heard a car pull into the driveway. I peeked out the window. It was Jane. I greeted her at the door, pulling her into a long kiss. "Hey there, beautiful," I whispered in her ear, "I thought you would never get here." "Well, I had to deal with my mom," Jane said, smiling as she kissed me back. "I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get out of there." "So what did you tell her anyway?" I asked. "I told her was going to a sleepover at Kimmy's house," Jane explained. Kimmy was Jane's best friend from elementary school. Kimmy and I didn't hang out much. I always thought she was a bit annoying. "And she went for that?" I said incredulously. "Well, she said I could go but only if I took this with me," Jane said, indicating a bag slung over her shoulder. "What is that?" I asked, though I had a good idea. "It's my diaper bag," Jane replied, blushing. I guess Mom thought if I had to carry this I would be too embarrassed to go anywhere, little did she know. Anyway, I just told her I was going and that Kimmy wouldn't care what I had in my bag, Jane continued. What else could she say? She had already said I could go. But what if she calls Kimmy? I asked, worried. "Your mom will go absolutely mental if she finds out you lied." "Don't worry, Kimmy is covering for me and her parents are out of town too," Jane assured me. "Besides, I might actually go over there later." It was then that I noticed Jane had another bag, an overnight bag, in her hand. "Or not?" I said hopefully. "We'll see," Jane grinned, "but I'll tell you this. Kimmy has no idea about my little secret and I really don't want her to find out."